In some ways I feel like Nintendo are already trying to dig their own grave with this new system. As a company they've always been big on their gimmicks, putting in motion controls and touchscreens in recent years, despite 90% of the fanbase are crying out to them that they aren't needed, and that swinging plastic batons around for an hour is both physically tiring and dangerous for any other electronics in the room. But come rain or shine, Nintendo will find some strange way to shovel a new way to play games into our palms, whether it's jabbing and scratching at a screen with a plastic shiv or throwing chunks of accelerometers and gyroscopes around the room. And true to form, one of their games, a launch title no less, was revealed to have a gimmick to it, though not necessarily the kind of gimmick I'd expect from a console with pseudo one-to-one waggle remotes and touchscreens.
Your typical video game has you playing while looking at some kind of screen, right? But 1-2-Switch can be played without looking at any screen. So then, where exactly do you look? In the eyes of your opponents.
One of their big game announcements, 1-2-Switch, is designed around not actually looking at the screen, but looking into the eyes of your opponent. An amusing gimmicky concept on paper, but there's one major elephant in the room. You made your console with the bloody great screen bolted on the front of it! Somehow they've managed to turn their slab of electronics and a pretty damn substantial tablet screen into a glorified bop-it, making two players do the things it demands of them as quickly as possible via audio cues. Setting aside the precedent of them making these games a simple act of who can do it the fastest or who can follow the rhythm correctly, which admittedly Nintendo have been able to do in the past with the likes of WarioWare, although saying that game was actually much better presented as a series of mini-games alongside a character that they don't really use for their main core games anymore. When they're simultaneously trying to market to the core gamers with the likes of dragging evidently unwilling EA and Sega representatives onto the stage to go, yep, we're doing games, but making a game that outright drops one of the major features your console touts is a bloody travesty. Usually it just takes them a few months of dipped sales for Nintendo to realise their longer term core audience of gamers don't want these kinds of gimmicks, and they return to putting out more standard games to fuel our appetites. But I'd never have expected to see them do it in their own fucking launch announcement. So here we are once again with Nintendo pulling a classic Nintendo and entirely missing the point of its own device. And despite Nintendo's missteps in the past, I was actually hoping that the Nintendo Switch would do well. Here's hoping they haven't shot themselves in the foot with this whole bullshit. I shouldn't rag on Nintendo too much, I mean I make some pretty bad decisions, like putting sped up music behind my slowest talking video.